Hi guys, welcome to Twin Perspective. I'm Joe, and tonight I'm going to be presenting another installment of the films that scared me. This is a series I'm doing focusing on 10 movies that scared me or had an effect on me that was lingering. 10 movies that actually scared me. Now, in this installment, I'm going to be talking about the most recently released film in the series. Most of the movies that scared me, it had a lot to do with me being a child and having that first time effect on me or stuff like that. But this one came out in 1989 when I was 17, 18 years old. And the movie's called Communion. It's based on a true story about an author from New York named Whitley Strieber, or Streiber. Louis Whitney Strieber or Streiber. I'm going to say Strieber. I'm going to say Streiber. How about that? He was a pretty famous author. He wrote The Wolfen. He wrote The Hunger. There's your two novels right there. One about werewolves, one about vampires. He had an original take on the stories, which I thought was good. The Hunger focused on the practical day-to-day being of a vampire, having to find your victims and cover up your tracks or multiple deaths and stuff like that. And Wolfen was like there was a film adaptation of both those novels. The film adaptation of Wolfen was pretty good, I thought. He also wrote, I think, The Forbidden Zone. He's done a bunch of other stuff. This book was called Communion, and it was based on an experience he had when he was abducted by visitors. And I did have the novel, and I did read some of it. I never read it from cover to cover, though. But I did like the movie. Apparently, Whitney, the author, in real life, didn't really care for the film. There were instances in the film that he hadn't written about, and apparently also they took the freedom to ad-lib a lot of the lines, and I got the impression that the film starring Christopher Walken is a presence not unlike Jack Nicholson in The Shining, where, in my opinion, Stephen King probably had ideas for the main character, whereas Jack Nicholson was being Jack. And I think that applies in this instance, where Whitney didn't really see himself acting the way that Christopher Walken acted in the film. But I love Christopher Walken. I love Jack Nicholson, so I forgave it. Now, this was back when I was 17 years old, when Communion came out, 18. And at that time, I was really into UFO TV shows. There were a lot of them in the late 80s. UFO hunter kind of shows and UFO evidence type shows. So I was really into that. And I was really confused as to what it was all about. I was just learning. And at that time, like most of us are, we're convinced that if you do believe in UFOs, visitors from another place, that there's some nefarious stuff going on, because these abductions happen, and it's like you're being kidnapped, and then a lot of people talk about being experimented on, and your memory being erased. Basically, that's what this film was about. The author was having weird dreams And when he would take his family to their cabin in upstate New York, he would have a lot of experiences. And in the film, a lot of people witnessed the lights in the sky and stuff like that, but they would all recall different things the next day. It was almost like you're in this dream state or something, and it got to the point where he kept having nightmares, and he wasn't sure if anything was real or not. I think at one night in the cabin, he could have sworn someone was there and pulled his gun out and could have shot his wife. So he decided to see a therapist, and this doctor did regressive hypnosis, and then he was able to remember the events after that, where he was actually taken by visitors and experimented on, and that it had happened to his father before him, and that his fear that it might happen to his kid was probably justified and verified, that this was something that was with him all the time. The author in real life, had written a lot of science fiction and fiction, and so people didn't really believe him when he was trying to tell this story. He would say that it was because he couldn't remember everything so clearly in all these visions of everything unconfirmed. Probably what brought him to write the way he wrote. And so he's still around. He's still alive. He does a podcast called Dreamland, and he believes in aliens and UFOs, but he feels like this story, a communion, his abduction, he can't verify whether it's aliens or not. He just figures that it's visitors. And there's been a lot of confirmation over the years of potential alternate dimensions and maybe past and future travelings and stuff like that. And so it's broadened his mind to get away from just your simple alien from another planet theory. So he's not resigned to saying it's aliens, but in the film they look like aliens. And there was one thing in particular that really got to me, was this paranoia that the author had. Night terrors, if you have a dream, sleep paralysis, let's say, sleep paralysis. All kinds of real life conditions that could make you so paranoid. And there's one shot in the film where he thinks there's someone standing in the corner of his house, in his cabin, behind furniture. And that's always a creepy thought and creepy image. And in the film, of course, this little alien peers his head out from behind the furniture in that dark corner. And that shot, and it's in my thumbnail, that shot, as goofy as it is, that shot got to me. That was scary to me. That little thing peering from that dark corner, from behind that piece of furniture, that one stuck with me. I mean, I couldn't look at a dark corner of a room after that without imagining, is something there. It was pretty freaky. I had my experiences with UFOs too. My brother and I talk about it some in a video we did called Halloween Oktoberfest. We did it last year. We talk about our UFO experiences. And also I did a video called How Did I Get Into Politics? And I speak a lot about UFOs in that video as well, so check those out. As far as Communion goes, overall, I liked the film. It's not a great movie. It was a critical flop. It was a commercial flop. So a lot of people haven't seen it, and if they have, they probably thought it was boring and But overall, it was kind of like the building up of my interest in UFOs up until this point of seeing. I had seen a bunch of abduction UFO movies. I mean, Close Encounters, and a ton of them have come out. But it was that creepy shot of that alien peering around that piece of furniture that really got to me. The film kind of ends where he accepts the fact that this is happening to him. There's even a scene where he's joking around with the aliens. It kind of tries to give you this feeling that whatever they're doing, whatever their purpose is, it's for a reason, and they ultimately don't want to hurt you, regardless of the fact that you're being taken from your home and experimented on. As I've gotten older, I've decided that it's our government that does the abducting. And if a real alien from another planet actually abducts you, I I don't think they'd be experimenting on you in that way. I think this is I blame the government. That's where I'm at on it right now. I think the Greys are created by the government, probably based on some real life form, but that's it. If you guys want to know more, you can check out those other videos. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Rosenfield 10 for more videos like this. I'm Joe, and this has been Twin Perspective, the films that scared me. Communion. I've come to a peace as far as my fear of visitors who can come into your home and take you at will. Sometimes there are nights when I invite it. And sometimes if I'm really creeped out or having a weird feeling, I'll think to myself, no, tonight wouldn't be a good night. It's kind of like being visited by your dead relatives. I'll talk to my deceased family members. I talk to them. I feel like they can hear me. And some nights I'm creeped out and I'm like, guys, tonight wouldn't be a good night. Okay, so Mom, if you're up there, don't show up today. You'll just make me shit my pants. Same thing with the visitors. Yeah, I've come to peace with it. So the film itself isn't very scary at all. But I have chosen 10, and Communion's one of them. So thanks for watching, guys, and look out for some more like this from some scarier and creepier movies. And until then, I will see you in the trees. Bye.